Okay. All right. So we're recording. We're starting. This is page 2, halfway down. D.D. Palmer's 1914, The Chiropractor. We're talking a little philosophy. Steve Shargell is about to break a little bit down about our innate and spirit, and I wanted to make sure we started the recording. Steve, what's on your mind?
That the spinal adjustment, we meet people, that's what we do. We put hands on to the area that we find that we need to go to. We introduce a force, and then magic. And it never loses its mystery and its wonderfulness. And I love it. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
that's such a, the blessing of experience and the wisdom of all your years of serving people, and to have a collection of people like this on this is just amazing for me. And that's what it is when you realize how amazing chiropractic really is. Then what else can you do? Receiving your own, you can't. Some people say you can't get your own adjustment. The reality of it is just being loved by a chiropractor friend enough to get an adjustment from them, and to receive that for ourselves.
I wanted to say one more thing because it's been in my life a lot lately. As a chiropractor, we've been saying we don't treat symptoms. We don't treat discomfort. Although they keep coming to me, my back hurts right here, and they want to bring me right to their pain. The point that we are about is there is a wisdom of our philosophy that talks about embracing the pain, man, loving the pain, even loving the situation, no matter what it is. That's not something we want to try to get rid of. And I'm not just talking about the physical symptom. I'm talking about thoughts that are like fear-based, which is what's going on right now on a worldly basis. We need to really open our hearts and arms to all of the negativity in my thinking, rather than try to stuff it down into some attic or basement or drug it away or pharmaceutical away. We say, let me hear your symptom. Come on, let's get with it. Let's let the thing breathe. And when I adjust you, you might feel worse. This mind of ours, the Christians call it the devil. And I'm telling you, I've been noticing there's a part of me that wants to kill me. It wants to fuck me up. It wants to make me eat so much that I'm sick. It wants me to watch this drama on TV that is so bad, this desire to be separated. And so I'm saying, let's not run from the symptom. Let's embrace it. Let's get connected. And this is what a meaningful life is. And it's embedded in our philosophy. You know what I'm saying?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's that spirit, that God, life, innate, universal intelligence, whatever we want to call it, is far more powerful than anybody outside of it. And when we trust that innate, this whole thing out there is to get us separated from innate, to get us stop trusting it and listening to what used to be the small wee voice of holding you back and bullshit and fear and anger and self-doubt has gotten bigger. Whether it's the 5G and they say we can control you now from all the mercury that's in your body, we can control you. Maybe that's what's happening in our brains. But the stronger we are in knowing to touch our innate, living by innate, is spiritually driven, surrounded by God and trusting in that, then everything changes in our life. And I tell you, I've had a lot of that pulling on me lately. And I've thought negative, gosh, just negative. That's what the world out there wants us to see. Part of the time it takes me a long time to post a video because then I got to log on to Facebook and then I can't get off. And I can't get some of the visions out of my head that I just saw. Like, oh my gosh, that's just too shocking for me. And have to go back and serve our people. These people are what is most important. And I think everything we nurture within ourselves. I gave up snowboarding. I'm the worst snowboarder in the world. But I came so close to breaking my wrists that if I just broke my wrist, I wouldn't be able to go serve people tomorrow. Right now, they're trying to break our wrists. They're trying to rip out of the love out of our heads. I even noticed the posts that I've been doing haven't been about love. So I did a love one today. All right, power's on for everybody today.
I like the love post today.
You like the love post?
We need to be very disciplined with ourselves with this negative thought, and not to like push it away, but to make another, notice it, and then choose again.
Yep, that's it. That's the work comes from pinpointing it and saying, okay, you're less than serving. That thought, the idea, the negative that's less than serving, I'm going to get rid of you. But that takes work. And I'm glad we're working on it together because I can't do it alone. I'll tell you that right now.
You know, we've referenced Pasquale before, and since he is a friend of all of ours, he used to say, act or react. And, you know, the whole thing is, you know, we can react to all this stuff or we can act. And there's a huge difference. Acting means we come from within our own truth within. Reacting means we just, you know, knee jerk. We just
Slaves.
Yeah, we become slaves to other people's thoughts and screwed upness and their desire to manipulate us and everything. Good point,
Right
Steve.
on.
That's a good word.
Right on.
Great point. All right, you guys ready for a little Dee Dee Palmer?
Yeah, man.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Chiropractic art consists in the aptitude of adjusting displaced vertebrae, of which art, I, in the originator. Chiropractic philosophy is the knowledge of the phenomena of life, as explained by the understanding of the principles of the science and art. In my work on the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic, I have given an extensive explanation of the laws of life and the nature of disease. The practice of chiropractic includes a moral obligation and a religious duty. To comprehend these responsibilities, it is absolutely necessary that the chiropractor should be able to understand and define chiropractic science. He must know not only the basic principle upon which it is founded and the constitutional parts which form its scientific structure, but also the philosophy of the science and art of vertebral adjusting. To absorb and digest these all-important and essential ideas and make them a part of one's very being requires a close study of the chiropractor's adjuster. Chiropractic deals with biology. It is the only comprehensive system which answers the time-worn question, what is life? Scientific chiropractors are versed in the principles of chiropractic. They live according to its rules. They philosophize on the art of relieving abnormal conditions by adjusting displaced bones. As educated intelligences, they relieve undue pressure on nerves in order that an ape may transmit and receive impulses to and from the various parts of the body in a normal manner. They desire to understand the nature of our physical existence and assign natural causes for both normal and abnormal functions.
Okay, so that was most of that page. Does anybody want to discuss anything on there? There's quite a bit going on. Does everybody have a copy of this? I could send it as a
Are we
PDF.
all English speakers today?
Pardon?
Are there any Spanish-only speakers here today?
Probably. You say it in Spanish.
El arte de la quiropráctica es para ajustar los huesos salidos de su lugar, de que yo soy el que lo descubrió. La filosofía de la quiropráctica es para saber bien lo que es la vida, como está explicado de los principios de la ciencia y el arte. En mi trabajo de la ciencia, arte y filosofía de quiropráctica, yo les dio una extensiva explicación de las leyes de la vida y lo que es enfermedad. La práctica de la quiropráctica incluye una obligación y una obligación religiosa. Para entender estas responsabilidades es necesario que el quiropráctico tiene la capacidad de explicar la ciencia. Debe saber no solo los principios básicamente que está encontrado de parte de la ciencia, pero también la filosofía, la ciencia y el arte, de ajustando a huesos vertebrales. I don't do as good a job as your other friend, but here we go. Para observar y digestar la importancia de las ideas esenciales y para hacerse parte de nuestro ser, requiere un estudio con mucho cuidado del quiropráctico ajustar. La quiropráctica es de la biológico, es solo un sistema que tiene la respuesta a la pregunta ¿qué es la vida? Más o menos, me disculpe que no es muy bueno, pero es suficiente, espero.
I think you did pretty well. You should be proud of yourself with that one. Okay, anybody have anything to say? Aldo.
Hi.
I'm going to say one thing. Chiropractic philosophy is the knowledge of the phenomena of life.
Yes.
As explained but understood by the principles of the science and the art. In my work on the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic, I have given an extensive explanation of the laws of life and the nature of disease. I mean, DD had a made-up mind. There was nothing getting in his way. He knew what he had to do was right. How many times are we second-guessing? You better take some B12, you know, go get some shots of tequila. But knowing this, this made-up mind of chiropractic, Sid Williams talked about it all the time, having a made-up mind. That's what I see. That's what I read in there.
Yeah, right.
What makes it a moral and religious duty?
We're going to
For
get
me-
to that.
For
For
me,
you, go ahead.
I chose chiropractic, and I chose in my life to pursue the big question: what is my purpose in life? It's not to, I want to know God. I want to know reality. And I've met people in chiropractic who also want to know that. And because there is the sacred and there is the profane. And there's nothing wrong with the profane, just that without the contact with the animating divine force, it's meaningless. And so the moral and religious for me is to know myself. And what I do in the world is to help others know themselves. So that's why I believe that it is my moral and religious duty. You are muted, Haig.
En español, la filosofía de quiropráctico. Quiropráctico. What's on your mind, Bob?
You know, it reminds me of the sacrifices that were made. You know, we can talk about religion in terms of a specific religion, which I know we're not doing, but just to say whether you're Christian or not, that's not the point of what I'm going to say. You know, Jesus sacrificed big time to bring salvation to our earth. And our fellow chiropractors, over 600 of them, sacrificed big time to bring chiropractic to the people. They went to jail. Some of them died in jail. So when you talk about having a moral and religious duty, man, if just recognizing and acknowledging that doesn't give us that feeling, I don't know what does.
Amen, brother. In Mexico, one of my talks was about standing on the shoulders of giants. You know, standing on the shoulders of giants, of just, if I can step up just a little bit and serve on the level of those guys, men and women, not just men, it was men and women.
What else has been coming up for me is that we don't have to do a damn thing to be lovable. We don't have to take on that burden. It's being done. Like we say in chiropractic, nature needs no help, just no interference. Why don't we let God flow? I don't need to do nothing. I'm lovable as I am, even if I don't have a chiropractic career. The world's wrong and screwed up because people don't know the unconditional love of spirit, of God, of presence, of life. We need do nothing to be okay. And I want a world that understands that. So when I give an adjustment, I want it to be that they accept where they're this wonderful life. What else is more powerful than to live in a thank you, God? And then when you're thanking God, you are giving that adjustment with a little bit extra, with a lot of bit extra. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. A lot of powerful stuff today. Anybody want to share en español? So, you know, that duty, the next part, we want to do a little more of this, because the next part is as a science chiropractic. Or anybody else have anything to say? Okay.
Chiropractic explains local and general death to be but the result of law, a step on the road of eternal progression, that any deviation from tone, the basis of chiropractic, is disease. As a philosophy, it is the science of all sciences. It deals with subjective, ethical religion, the science which treats of the existence, character, and attributes of God, the all-pervading universal intelligence. Its possibilities will become unlimited when his laws and our duties, as a segmented, personified portion thereof, are scientifically understood.
Okay, I'm stopping right there. Did you see how much was in that paragraph? Okay, so that's the bottom of page 2, midway through the paragraph of page 3, a big paragraph. It's actually the top quarter. So that any deviation from tone, the basis of chiropractic is disease. So he just says that, the lack of ease. I'm going to go back to something that Bob said. Pasquale used to also mention to us that suffering, an old definition of suffering, means transformation. Well, just using the example like Bob did, Jesus had to suffer to transform and get to the kingdom of heaven. If we want to look at it in that sense, to get through this resurrection, this suffering that people spend a lot of time on. But that means transformation. And if people are coming in, sometimes they're suffering, just like Stephen said. And suffering, it's not for me to get them out of symptom, but to help along that journey, to ease their suffering of transformation. That's what for me, that's what I received from that end of that sentence on page 2. Okay? Anybody else have anything they want to share? I think what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to post this and I'll get Spanish subtitles put on here, and maybe Portuguese too. And since we don't have a translator, I can get that done. So we'll work on that. But does anybody else have anything? I know there was a lot of meat. I tried not to go too far so we can get some things. I'm going to read this little part too. As a philosophy, it is the science of all sciences. It deals with the subjective, ethical religion, the science which treats of the existence, character, and attributes of God, the all-pervading universal intelligence. It's the science of God, the all-pervading universal intelligence. Didi have read in 1910 about the word treatment, hated the word, threw a fit from treatment. And he says, which treats of the existence. I got to figure out what those words exactly mean now. I've got to look up treats. Character and attributes of God. Page 3 of Didi's philosophy. This is good stuff. Bob?
You know, I think it was Emerson or Thoreau, one of those guys. I think it was Emerson. Said, how you are speaks so loud I can't hear a word that you're saying. And our whole practice, when we do it right, when we're really in tune with what we're doing, we don't have to say much, because the people will feel what's going on. They know there's a God involved. It doesn't have to be a Christian God. It doesn't have to be a Jewish God. It doesn't have to be a Muslim God. It's the creator of the universe God, whatever that is for that person. But the thing about it is that it's so amazing and so beyond what we really can even just wrap our heads around, that if we just sublimate ourselves to it and allow it to flow through us, we become very effective in not only caring for people, but in bringing an awareness to the world that God's for real. When I was a kid in school, it almost felt like, if you believed in a God, you were stupid. It wasn't scientific. That's almost how, like, being raised in the 60s and 70s, I felt like that's what it was all about. Yet a guy like Leibniz, anybody heard of Leibniz? The guy invented calculus. He wrote a whole story about the perfection of God. This guy, he didn't just get an A in calculus, he invented calculus. He says that it's not even enough to just say that God is perfect, and then he goes on for pages and pages to explain what he meant by that. So it's so ridiculous that we were indoctrinated at a young age to think that there is no God. And so chiropractors maybe even have a bigger job, and I don't mean to be, against anybody on this one. I'm on the same team as pastors and rabbis and priests. I mean, we have a big job to do, and it has to do with more than just adjusting people. It has to do with, as Steve so eloquently said, bringing us to an awareness of God.
I think that sums up this whole chapter basically.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Amazingness. Anybody have anything else?
Well, again, I had a practice member come out to my house yesterday, and she was having this back pain. And we talked about, you got the pain, that's one thing. And then you got the story, you're talking about it, around it. Oh, this is going to last. If this lasts, fear that it's going to last and I won't be able to do such and such. Oh, my foot's numb, and what that means. So people jump into this, they make a picture that likes to project horror stories. That's the guy I'm talking about that needs to be looked at. Let it breathe, because once you become aware of it, you're no longer a slave to it. Now you know what is entrapping you. That's pain is one thing, suffering is the other. Once you become aware of it and you put it on the screen of your mind, now you're no longer a victim of it. And this is vital as chiropractors when we talk to our patients about their storytelling. Eat right, get enough exercise, get enough sleep, get your subluxation removed, and be aware of the stories you're making up with this back pain you're having, or your whatever you're creating a story about. You don't know that because you're not smart. We're not smart enough to know everything about the symptom. It might save your life because now you can't run. So that's huge, because I have a story maker that I fight every day. And it wants to get with the sheep. It's going, oh, freak out. Matter of fact, I've been binge watching this movie called Ozark. And today I went, this is enough. There's something exciting about the drama. It's been going on for thousands of years. We got the Greek tragedies. We have to those people were just as lost. We have to recognize that this is maker, and listen to it, recognize it, and go, thank you, I hear you, and then choose again. That's huge. And that's why I'm proud to be a chiropractor, because this fits right in with the practice of chiropractic. Why would we want to take away somebody's lesson?
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, that's an important thing. Absolutely. You know, I was just thinking of this. Someone asked, you know, something, where does the subluxation come from? It doesn't happen to us. It's coming from us. We're subluxated. You're not subluxated. You don't cause a subluxation. It's coming from within. It's
That's right.
endogenous.
That's right.
Yeah. Our bodies are that intelligent. I feel God gives us the information from the vertebra to say, serve my person there. I said it at DE. I said that we're getting codes from God on the backs of these people. You might get a different subluxation process that body shows to Steve Shargell or Louis Singer or Rob Grispa or Aldo or Fernando, and than it does to me, because it knows my innate a little different than your innate. And when we allow God to express through that person, we're going to get magic. I feel those are codes that we have to pay attention to. We're given that gift. So the subluxation coming from us, not to us. Like we don't catch a virus. The body allows it to express itself and fight these viruses or whatever it might be. But most things are already in us already. It's coming from within us. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's true. What came really clear years ago, I had a Harley that fell over and I was pushing it up onto my trailer, and it started to fall. And what I did is, it was an inappropriate reaction, like what Robert was talking about. It's the reaction that was inappropriate that caused it wasn't a trauma from outside. It wasn't the weight that wrenched my back. It was my inappropriate reaction to that. And that's why I felt my muscle. I did it. The motorcycle didn't do it. I did it. And most traumas are internal like that.
So in that shifting, in a practical way, is helping people like you're saying about this woman, help them understand you could be a victim or you can be your own co-creator. And understand that expressing life, Don Epstein said, the pain will go away the moment it's safe to. It's safety being pain. It's identity being pain. You know, it's attention being pain. But when we realize, thank you, God, for this pain, we start to see that inner wisdom and say, knock, knock, Haig. Okay, it's time to let go of something or get in touch with something that you put on the back burner maybe. Let's see more of you. That's the way I've had lots of back pain. I've had lots of issues. For me, I've always felt, okay, let's listen. Who's knocking? What's less than serving me? Because we're only our own doctors, really, right?
Dr. Heal yourself. I have the same issues as my patients. I'm working on that storyteller just like my patients. And the more I talk about and be real, because they know it. They know that I know, because I'm not like some wise chiropractor with the wisdom of innate. I'm right there in the trenches with them, suffering, falling, getting back up. But I'm getting back up, and I'm going to talk about getting back up.
And not only are you getting up yourself, you're helping those around you get up.
Yeah.
That's where the real bravery is.
That's it. And when I overcome something in me, I'm overcoming it in my ancestors, in those that come after me, and you, because we're all connected. So that's it.
You know, these Native Americans and these yogis, I guess from India, they observed animals. As a matter of fact, a lot of the yoga poses have to do with animals, and the American Indians, they were big on that. They would watch an animal and know how they dealt with life. And, you know, we have our pets, our animals that live in our own home. I have a dog, she's blind. You think that would stop her? It doesn't stop her. She just lives her life. She doesn't sit around bitching about being blind. I can tell you that. She just deals with it and goes on. And so, like, we really can learn a lot from them because they don't have that corrupt part of the educated mind. I'm not saying the whole educated mind is corrupt, but there is a part that is.
Damn right.
They don't have that. They're living completely innate. And, you know, they're such a great model for us. If we could follow them more, we could really learn a lot.
Yeah, they're not telling stories, are they?
The genius of being a dog, yeah. How many really happy three-legged dogs have you seen? Every single one of them.
That's right. They don't even know they have 3 legs. They don't
care. And none of the other dogs care either. They treat them exactly the same.
That's right. They steal their food from them and kick their asses.
But I've also seen them help them up. You know, I had a big dog and a little dog at once, like a bird dog and a dachshund. And the bird dog played more gently with the dachshund, played tug of war just with ease with the dachshund. You know, it was all love and sharing.
Oh, man, I'm only kidding. They got a big heart, but you know, they don't like, you know.
Oh, it's a peck order.
It takes a big heart to make someone struggle for their own stuff.
Ah, good point.
That was a big one.
Trust that innate is in that patient, giving them that they have their higher power.
You know, someone asked me, Sigafus asked me on one of the calls, hey, why do we have to teach people about innate? And a student played on Kerry Sigafus on his podcast and all that he does. And he played, he said, hey, what have you learned since then? And what you just said, Steve, of helping them realize about innate, which is giving them hope and understanding about God within them. That's why you teach them about innate. I think it's for hope, for love, trust, right? This beautiful thing God gave us. It hasn't left us, and it won't until we're done.
No disrespect to any other meetings. There are a lot of great meetings out there, but this is one of the best meetings I attend.
I love it.
Me
Hey,
too.
I do too, man. This is great. All you guys, everybody.
I look forward to this. Yeah, I look forward to it. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Who's breaking it down anymore? You know, breaking down our philosophy. We're reading, you know, this is chiropractors talking about chiropractic. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know what I noticed though? At Sherman College, I noticed, I went to a Lyceum a few years ago, and there's a group of them that really can't stand this God talk.
I know. That's true. And
I
that's,
don't give a shit. I don't
I
give a shit. I don't give a shit.
Nah, that's their problem. Do you know, you guys probably both know this. I can't tell you the page, but in the Chiropractor's Adjuster, D.D. Palmer wrote, and there's a paragraph where he says, universal intelligence, and then in parentheses says God, innate intelligence, and then in parentheses says spiritual power, and whatever else he said. But and then he goes, you know, the former words, the latter words in parentheses, the world maybe is not ready to hear yet. Maybe still now it's not ready to hear yet. This was in 1910. He equated our philosophy. He said universal intelligence was God. He said innate intelligence was the spiritual power. He said this in his own writings.
You know, I have those references. If anybody wants them, 1910, we're going to read that one after this. And, you know, absolutely. That's what I think I know it's time for it to come back full circle to DD and that stuff, Bob. You know, 100%. Pasquale said it too. He was before his time. Let's do it. Right?
You know, no disrespect to BJ, but Pasquale wasn't a huge BJ fan.
No.
And especially like when people would get in an argument whether DD adjusted C2 or T4. And, you know, DD said he adjusted the fourth dorsal. And
Who gives
BJ,
a fuck? Who gives a Who gives a shit? I don't give a
not my
shit.
point.
I'll tell you why to give a shit.
That's not my point. So and BJ, you know, was developing upper cervical, so he had to say it was C2. But Pasquale says, you know what? I'm going to get my information from the horse's mouth. But if you want to get it from the other end, but my point, but my point is like, you know, we the horse's mouth, D.D. Palmer said that universal is God.
Right on.
And we'll take it from the horse's mouth for sure. I mean, that's why I've been waiting to get into DD's book, because we need to break this philosophy down. We need to get to the source, into the horse's mouth. 100%. Anybody have anything else to share? You know, Pasquale's with us.
What a sorrowful life as a chiropractor if you could claim that you adjusted 20 million backaches into feeling better. What a wasted life.
That's a waste. I agree with you. You know, they're serving a purpose. And,
I
you know,
have to have a dissenting view on that, and I'll tell you why. because I take care of a lot of people who work really hard physically, and that's their only way they support their families. And I'm going to tell you something. You do that for them, and you give them the opportunity to continue working and supporting their families. You've done something big. It's bigger than. Oh, I understand what you're saying, Steve.
It's secondary though. In my intention.
I'm just saying. You're right. I'm just saying, like, the result, what happens for them, and how they're able to go about and continue feeding their families and keeping a roof over their head. You know, it is a big thing. It really is a big thing. I'm not saying
Listen,
with three symptoms.
Listen, that when that woman yesterday called me, or I texted her later, how you doing? Later that night, she went, the numbness is gone and all this stuff. Don't think I didn't feel really good about it.
Exactly, man, and you should, because you know
I
what?
did.
You never know. You never know what the stress and the strain that's going to put on not just them, but their entire family if they don't get better.
Now, this is the two things, though. You realize we're caring for the person with the disease. We're not treating the back pain. We care for the person, and the body heals itself.
Right.
There's still, that's really what our philosophy is. I'm caring for you. I want you to get back to work. But I'm going to care for you, adjust your subluxation, care for you, and your body's going to heal yourself. The philosophy has gone in many other ways. I'm the treatment for your back pain.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's a whole other world, right? And then they end up coming to you and said, I went to this guy forever and I didn't get any better, or I got worse. And then they show up to your office and they get better in one adjustment or something.
I'm the treatment for your backache. Just took God out of the picture. That's just not cool.
That is the bingo right there. That is the bingo. When we have God in the equation, right? God's the equation. It is the equation. Infinite possibilities, infinite potential.
No wonder chiropractors burn out. Can you imagine, like, it's the philosophy of connection to innate that makes chiropractic. And if both my wrists, Haig, are broken, I'll still be able to practice what I believe is working. I don't care. I'll use my elbow and touch them. It doesn't matter. You know, and at Columbia, I studied Gonstead and I studied Logan. And I'll tell you something. Both of them contradicted each other with the sacrum and how it's supposed to go. And then I go to John Grostic's office. He opened up a place in Orlando. And I had taken the whole NUCA thing with the Align x-rays, and I got rid of my x-ray machine in order to be in line. And freaking John Grostic Sr. had bought my shaky singular tube holding x-ray. It's bullshit, the technique to focus on that. Be confident in what you do. When you make the adjustment, know you got to be confident. But as far as looking for the technique, Jesus used mud and water, not that mud and spit. And he didn't say, how you feeling after he adjusted? Is that any better? He did it and it was done. That's what we're being called to do. We're being called to be doing just what he did.
You know, and even as a Christian, that's not sacrilegious, because he says, well, the things I do, you will be able to do and more.
Yeah. Sigafus used to say, Jesus was the first chiropractor and he had 12 associates.
There you go. I like that. I like that. That's good.
Well, I think we got a lot of meat to chew on from this. Thank you all. Anybody have anything else they want to share? Well, it's 8:51. The DE call starts in a little bit. We don't want to go over that time.
We got 9 minutes.
We got 9 minutes. Good. So the fourth dorsal is the bottom of the circulatory ganglia, is the last vertebra from C1 to C4. C4, the circulatory ganglia, that's where I see there is symbolic reason of C4 T4.
No, wait, T4.
T4, I mean. Of T4 being the vertebra that was adjusted. Tapping into the heart, the base of the heart. Pasquale used to talk about the heartstrings, the heart being off center, right? Chiropractic is tapping into that heart center of life, humanity, and God to straighten, to bring us into order where we're disordered, hearts in left field, bringing us into center, creating harmony in the world.
What do you say about the heart being off to the left? What do you say about that, Pasquale?
Do you remember, Bob?
I just remember he said sooner or later it has to become centered, you know? I don't remember more than that.
The hemispheres of our brains are unbalanced. Testicles are unbalanced. Breasts are unbalanced, right? We look at unbalanced legs. We adjust them, they balance. We bring ease. But what we're talking about, and you see the pictures of Jesus where he had the heart in the center,
Right in the center.
or Mary, when we become centered, or many, you see that in many deities, where the heart's in the center. We're still in a beastly mode. As we get to the spiritual side, become more spiritual, we will become centered, the self-center, Bob. So
Well, when I meditate and I go into my heart center, it is in the center. It's not off to the left. But the thing is that what comes to mind is this dynamic tension. We learned in school, I remember that part about the outside of the nerve is negatively more charged than the inside of the nerve teeth, which causes a dynamic tension. And calcium then, which is positively charged, when it's puts under stress, then the outside of the bone becomes too electronegative and it causes calcium to come on in. There's a dynamic tension that I love. There's a tension between the earth being pulled into the sun, centripetal force, and centrifugal force. There's a tension of the heart that goes boom, boom. I like the tension, the tone. There's a dynamic tone, man. That string, bing. I love it. We're set up with a little bit whacked out. I mean, before the Big Bang, and let's just call it the Garden of Eden or something, it was not even the Garden of Eden, but I don't want a flat line. I want there to be, there's always creation, and creation comes from a interplay between the yin and the yang, or the negative and the positive. There has to be a little bit of imbalance. So I embrace it. And we as chiropractors, we embrace the tension. Who's, you know, so what if somebody's like this and this muscle is, you know what most chiropractors do with a spasm muscle? They try to get rid of it. That's bullshit. We want to honor that at the moment. Yeah. Let them go to the muscle relaxer people if they want that. No, man, we don't know enough to say that that muscle spasm shouldn't be there. So I love it. Yeah.
So I went to this mixer school called National.
Oh my God.
And when I was there, Joe Jancy was a professor emeritus. He was no longer the president, but he used to come and walk into our classes anytime he wanted and talk to us. And he told us a cool story. Joe Jancy actually wrote my dad a letter. My dad was a chiropractor, apologizing for the crap that they were going to teach us at National.
Wow.
So, yeah, Joe Jancy was pretty cool. So he ends up on this debate with a medical doctor on like the Ed Sullivan show or some shit. And the guy asks him, how can you explain that they adjusted the fourth dorsal and this guy, Harvey Wheeler, got his hearing back? And he gives a very neurological scientific explanation about the vascular beds of the sympathetic chain going to the middle ear and, you know, and making the adjustment that clears that. And the medical doctor said, I can't dispute that.
Wow. You're on mute, Haig.
You know, and now we can trust and say that's the way God intended that person to hear again from that adjustment. The body healed itself. You know, do we have to go into this big explanation of science? I love it. Guys, men, chiropractors, women, everyone, awesome. I'm going to stop it now, okay? Anybody have any last comments?
Very good class.
No, thank you for having the class.